The global economy is heavily strained. Behind the daily flow of commerce, institutions are forced to spend trillions of dollars on defensive capital just to keep the system from collapsing. Think of it like a massive iceberg. The visible tip above the waterline is the economic activity we see and measure every day. This diagram illustrates the inverted pyramid of fragmentation. The narrow top tier represents the $120 trillion in visible global GDP. Below it, expanding outward, is a hidden foundation of $348 trillion in sovereign, corporate, and household debt. Maintaining this unstable structure exacts a severe toll. It forces major institutions to lock away capital just to survive, and it extracts what the data calls highest-order deprivation, measurable years lost from human lifespans due to systemic stress. The global market actively consumes human time and traps institutional money to sustain its own architectural imbalance. This immense economic weight doesn't exist in a void. It rusts entirely on a fragile, physical planetary substrate. Look at this photo of the Ever Given trapped in the Suez Canal. It is a physical manifestation of one of 27 global choke points, a list that includes undersea cable networks, isolated energy grids, and massive AI data centers. If the economic or infrastructural load becomes too heavy, the substrate fractures exactly at these high-stress coordinates. Treating a blocked canal or a failing power grid as an isolated crisis misses the actual mechanism. They are all symptoms of the exact same trapped defensive capital waiting to be released. The Sovereignty Engine is a new routing protocol designed to flip the inverted pyramid, turning trapped defensive capital back into a free-flowing asset. It operates on a zero-trust architecture. This means there is no central third-party validator. Instead, the system relies strictly on cross-validation, where local queries go directly to the data and verify themselves. The snellest, essential starting point for this circuit is called point zero, which is an individual human being or a specific living system, like a local watershed. The system operates through a daily action called presencing. An individual verifies their lived reality and community choices, and the engine cross-references that daily witness against objective public ledger data. Grounding economic data in verifiable daily human action creates an unfakeable foundation capable of supporting a secure global market. To test this geometry, we mapped the concept to a specific physical coordinate, Loudoun County, Virginia. This chart breaks down the hidden layer of debt discovered in Loudoun County. It visualizes the mean of $186,000 attached to every single person, divided between $54,000 in consumer debt and $132,000 as their share of the sovereign burden. The Sovereignty Engine reclassifies this debt. It stops treating it as a permanent loss and identifies it as stranded energy, promises made against a future that was fragmented before it could arrive. When the engine identifies the precise location and scale of this debt, it recalibrates the local risk profile. This mathematical proof allows the system to retire the expensive defensive capital previously required to hedge against that uncertainty, releasing $36 of recomposable leverage for every dollar verified. Scaling this localized validation up to the global level requires a tri-pillar of massive infrastructure operators, grid operators, utilities, and hyperscalers. These massive entities hold strict compliance obligations, like water usage limits. By plugging into validated community data, hyperscalers and utilities can turn those debt and compliance costs into active community restoration assets. This animated visualization compares the $16.4 trillion in initiation capital against the resulting $590 trillion in recomposable energy. It demonstrates a massive 36-to-1 leverage ratio for every dollar deployed. This recomposition happens without requiring consumer rate hikes. Because the systemic risk driving those compliance costs drops, the obligations retire naturally. Corporate compliance stops being a trapped cost center. When cross-validated with human presence, it becomes the ultimate catalyst for global infrastructure repair. The final mechanism works much like the navigation app Waze. Real-time inputs from drivers reroute traffic away from jams. Similarly, the Sovereignty Engine aggregates daily human attestation to reroute global capital flows. This real-time rerouting identifies systemic fragility. It actively diverts defensive capital to heal the exact planetary choke points where stress is concentrated. This flow diagram maps the sustainable returns architecture, illustrating how freed capital is distributed. 92 to 95% routes to the sovereign individual. 5% is held for unborn generations, while a 25% hold ensures watersheds receive sustained recovery capital. The network mathematically guarantees that local communities and critical ecologies receive funding first, structurally preventing top-level wealth extraction. The system prioritizes the cultivation of human wholeness over the simple accumulation of raw data. The wound of the global economy, the lost lifespans, the trapped capital, requires a specific supply catalyst to heal. The individual human is that exact catalyst. Global resilience is not achieved from the top down. It happens when individuals return to their specific coordinate and actively validate their presence. Individual presence provides the irreducible arithmetic of the network. It is the foundational infrastructure upon which the entire planetary substrate relies.